For some assignments, faculty will let you use the internet, but they want you to use quality resources. It is often challenging for students to know how to evaluate websites, especially news websites. So I'm going to show you one resource that can be helpful to help you evaluate websites to determine if you should use them in library assignments. This is Media Bias Fact Check, and I'm going to go on and show it to you. It is ad driven, so there are a lot of ads on it, but it is a very good, reliable source. So what is Media Bias Fact Check? It is a group of people who review websites, up to 3,000 websites, news websites they look at and evaluate. They don't check every article. They only check these websites a couple of times a year. So it's not perfect, and there may still be problems with certain articles, but you can get a general sense of whether this is a reliable resource. I am going to type in The Atlantic. This is a resource, a news resource that shows up quite frequently in web results. They have long format articles and tend to be on a lot of current topics. So it's a popular choice for students to see these show up. And once you see it, you will see The Atlantic, and you're going to click on it, and it will give you a little report about what The Atlantic is and what kinds of things that you should be looking for. So the first thing it will tell you is it gives you a little idea of where it falls on the political spectrum. And so this one is left of center, so it's going to be pretty not neutral, though a lot of times what the leanings will be more on the article choices rather than the kinds of information it has in it. So maybe if it's left of center, they might have more things on gun control, climate change, and things like that. Notice that there's a little table underneath that with factual reporting. Anything in the upper part of the table, if it's mostly factual, high or very high, is going to be good and reliable. If it's mixed and low and very low, you do not want to use one of these websites. Then it will tell you a little bit more about the organization and how they write and some things about them. This is some other reporting from some of other places that they've found that talk about it. Notice it is high credibility, high factual reporting. They will have a little bit of history and background information, who owns it, which can be important in deciding sort of what kinds of topics are covered, and there are definitely people who want to promote things in their news sites, and that might help you determine whether this is good. Analysis and bias, and notice that they have not had any failed fact checks. They check a couple of times a year in the last 5 years. So that would be a very good, reliable source. I'm going to show you another one. Atlantic's been around for over 150 years, so it's a very, very good source. Here's another one, a little bit different perspective, and has slightly different ratings, so it's a good one to look at. And it is called National Review. Again, it's been around for a long, long time too. It's something I'm aware of. National Review, it's a little bit more on the politically conservative on the right. Notice it's still in the mostly factual for their reporting, but they might have a little bit more loaded and slight biased language because of their being more on taking more extreme positions. Doesn't mean that the information's bad. It may be good information. It's just how they present their arguments and what kind of counter evidence they provide. But it could still be very useful for a paper as long as you've checked the information in other places. So you can read some of the little report on it. Again, you can get the background history, how long it's been around, which is a very long time, sort of where they're coming from, who owns it now, and maybe what their agendas are on certain things, analysis and bias. And then if they've had any failed fact checks, notice it has a few more. That was why they were a little bit lower on the reliability thing. So you may want to make sure that you check stuff, but that overall it's a pretty good and reliable site for information. So I hope this is useful to you. This is Media Bias Fact Check.